Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and I'm back for Tag Tuesday. I know it's a double tag week this week. So for this week, what I thought I would do is continue on with the Interrail Eurorail book tag. My goodness, that's a lot, which was created by Mark at Booktime with Elvis. This is the continuation of the part one, and I really want to do the part two because I do miss traveling quite a bit, and I think this is kind of a fun one. There are a lot of prompts, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it. Let's get going. All right, so part two, having had your fill of Lisbon. Having had your fill of Paella, you head off to Lisbon. It is a long route with stops and transfers on the way. Have you read a book that felt like it wasn't ever going to end? Yes, that is Paella by Samuel Richardson. I did a video on it just a couple weeks ago, and that book took forever, and I wanted it to end, and it just wasn't. Okay. Finally, after much travel, you arrive in Lisbon, a beautiful city that had large parts of the city destroyed in the Great Earthquake of 1755. Have you ever experienced an earthquake, tornado, hurricane, or some such force of nature? I have. I live in the Pacific Northwest. We are earthquake prone up here. We haven't had one in quite a while, so fingers crossed, knock on wood, we don't get one for a while. And it is amazing what happens when you're in that situation, because instead of going out of my desk, I ran to the server room, no idea why, went in where there's all this heavy machinery that was shaking and moving around. Where should I have been? Underneath my desk. It's amazing how you just lose all sense of what you're supposed to be doing. And that wasn't even a really serious one. But yeah, we are prone to earthquakes up here. So it's something we kind of just live with. Lisbon was the hometown of Fernando Pessoa. Have you read anything by him? I have. I'm very unprepared today. I have read stuff by Pessoa. I have read The Book of Disquiet. And this is actually a really interesting one. It's basically just a bunch of random kind of thoughts and journal entries put into a book. And I did really enjoy it. It was a little bit long for me in places. But other than that, it is an absolutely lovely, lovely book. Interestingly, Pessoa published just 4 books in his lifetime, and 3 of them were in English. He also translated books like The Scarlett Letter by Hawthorne and poems by Poe into Portuguese. Do you read many translated works, and what are some of your favorites? So I don't read a ton of translated works. One of the ones that I read recently, what video was that in? Oh, it was in the M tag. I mentioned in the M tag that I had read Persepolis, which was actually translated from French. And I do think that might be the last one that I read that was, no, it was not. It was Pereira Declares by Antonio Tabucchi. And please, Larry from Larry Has Opinions, tell me I said that right this time. Pretty sure that was the last translated work that I've read. Pessoa was fond of an odd drink or 10. You head up to the city of Porto, famous for, among other things, port, a drink of fortified wine. Do you have a favorite tipple now and again? If you do not drink alcohol, what then is your favorite thirst-quenching beverage? I will have a glass of wine from time to time if I'm out with my girlfriends or we're at one of my friends' houses. We more than likely will have homemade sangria. So yeah, it's delicious. Porto is the home to the Livraria Lelo. Oh my goodness. No, that's just not right. Porto is home to the beautiful bookshop of the name that I can't pronounce, that unfortunately, due to a tenuous link to the Harry Potter films, has now become a bit of a tourist attraction. Have you got a favorite bookshop or library? We have a great public library system here, and that tends to be, they're not the most beautiful of buildings, but I do frequent them quite a bit here in this area. I don't really, as far as a bookshop goes, there are a couple here, but they're just small, either thrift shop type bookstores, used bookstores that I tend to frequent. So I do like a good independent bookstore. I would love to be able to visit more, but I haven't yet. The Douro River runs through Porto, and the Old Town is a UNESCO World Heritage Site with 6 bridges across the river. Have you visited any UNESCO sites? If so, tell us about some of them. I have. I have visited the Great Wall of China, and that is an amazing experience. I was shocked by how just crowded it was. I also look very, very different from a lot of people there, and people kept trying to take my picture, which I have never experienced in my life. But the Great Wall of China is absolutely, absolutely incredible. It is one that I would, if you have an opportunity to go see it, I would recommend seeing it because it is a marvel. Finding yourself in a particularly devout mood and with a lot of time on your hands, you decide to walk the Portuguese Camino de Santiago all the way to Santiago de Compostela, which will take you between 10 to 12 days. If you're not up to it, you can grab a bus there in 3.5 hours. Do you enjoy walking, hiking? What is the longest walk you have done? I do enjoy hiking quite a bit. The longest one, and I'll see if I can put some pictures up for you, is actually I went on a 3-day backpacking trip in Whistler, British Columbia. We went up the mountain and then back in the backcountry there. It was about 8 miles to get out, carrying about a 35 pound pack. We camped and then went hiking the next day for about 6 miles, and then camped another night and then hiked out around the back of the mountain, which was 13 miles. So yeah, that was a lot in 3 days. But it was absolutely gorgeous. One of my favorite experiences. I went with a very, very good friend of mine who is up usually for any outdoor adventure. And he was absolutely wonderful, except for we realized the second day we were sleeping in the tent backwards. So our heads were at the small end of the tent where our feet should have been. Yeah, we learned a lot on that trip. But oh, talk about, it is so pretty up there. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. After a bit of R&R and some intense foot bathing in the Santiago de Compostela, you embark by train to Bilbao. Mark, you're killing me with these names. The de facto capital of the Basque Country. The Basque Country was the home of Juan Sebastian Elcano, the man who took over Magellan's circumnavigation of the world after his death. Have you read much nonfiction on discovery and exploration? Are there any interesting books that you would recommend to us? It's funny because I'm reading this one right now, which is called The Golden Spruce, which is a story, if I read the back of it, when a shattered kayak and camping gear are found on an uninhabited island in the Pacific Northwest, they reignite a mystery surrounding a shocking act of protest. 5 months earlier, logger turned environmentalist Grant Hadwin plunged naked into a river in British Columbia's Queen Charlotte Islands, towing a chainsaw. So I am only about a chapter into this one, but I think this one's going to be really interesting. This is actually for my book club with some of my coworkers. A couple of the other ones that I have read are Into Thin Air, which is John Krakauer's story of the 1996 Everest expedition that was horribly, horribly tragic, where multiple people died. It is a very interesting and fascinating book, but those are the couple that I would say. And then I have a new fictional one, and I'm so excited to read this one. This one is called The Ascent of Rumdoodle. And so this one is first published in 1956. The Ascent of Rumdoodle quickly became established as a mountaineering classic, as an outrageously funny spoof about the ascent of a 40,500 foot peak. Many thought it was inspired by the 1953 conquest of Everest. I'm very excited to read this one. I'm hoping it's hilarious. I'm hoping it's hilarious. We'll see. Okay. Not far from Bilbao lies the town of Guernica, made famous by the atrocities committed there during the Spanish Civil War by the Luftwaffe in support of General Franco's fascists. These atrocities are commemorated in Pablo Picasso's painting Guernica. I'm just butchering these. Picasso is known for being an influential figure in both the Cubist and Surrealist movements. Are you a fan? Have you got a favorite artistic school or movement? I am not a huge fan of Picasso. I have been to the Picasso Museum in Paris, and one of the things that I was always surprised by with Picasso is that I always think of him as being someone that painted in like the 1800s, and it wasn't. He was alive in the 1970s, I believe, and that was always something that surprised me about Picasso. If you go to the Picasso Museum, he actually has a lot of hand-drawn nudes in the exhibit, which I thought was really fascinating. I tend to lean more towards Impressionist type of work rather than something like Picasso or something more modern. That tends to be what I go for. All right, from Bilbao, you travel to Barcelona. In Barcelona, you visit the Camp Nou, N-O-U, home to the Barcelona football team and the national team of Catalonia. Are you a football, soccer fan? If not, what sports do you like? Do you ever go to matches, meets, events, etc.? I am not a huge football or soccer fan. I love being part of the Reading European Challenge 2021 because I actually did watch soccer when that was going on, but I would not consider myself a fan. I don't watch a lot of organized sports. I have been to, up here, it's the Seattle Seahawks. I have been to a football game at the stadium. But other than that, I don't really watch a lot of organized sports. I'd much rather be outside doing something than inside watching sports. I will tell you a fun story about Barcelona and put up a couple pictures for you. Outside of, about a couple hours outside of Barcelona, a very small a place you can go called Montserrat. And Montserrat is a monastery up on top of the hill. And you get to ride in this very rickety old yellow gondola up to the top. And it is gorgeous up there. Absolutely amazing, beautiful area. Tons of hiking trails up there, and I did not get to spend nearly enough time up there, but it is one of my favorite sites in Barcelona since the journey was in Barcelona. I thought I would share that and share a couple pictures with you. You decide not to stay too long in Barcelona and instead move on back to France and up the Mediterranean coast to the town of Nice, passing through the town of Cannes on the way. Cannes, of course, is well known in the film industry and has one of the industry's most glamorous film festivals. What are a few of your favorite films? What was the most disappointing film you have seen? So some of my favorite films are actually adaptations from books. It is amazing how many books that I love, movies that I love, have been adapted from a book. So The Shawshank Redemption still remains my favorite of all time, my favorite movie of all time. I would rank something like The Princess Bride up there. LA Confidential is up there. I like, definitely like The Green Mile as well. I love Stand By Me. I love The Sandlot. I love movies. I was just looking at some additional movies to download recently, and Romancing the Stone caught my eye. That is a classic 80s movie with Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas in it, and it is so fantastic. If you've never seen it, if you like 80s movies, it is absolutely a hit. As far as what are some of the most disappointing films, I don't love all of like the new Star Wars ones. I tried to watch them. I love the classic Star Wars films. The new ones, they are not necessarily as appealing to me, and I'm not sure why, but those tend to be some. Those are the ones that come to mind right off the top. Yeah, so... But heading further up the Mediterranean coast, we arrive in a new country, Italy, and the city of Genoa, where we will pause our journey for now, and if interest remains in this little tag, we will pick up our trip in the former home of Christopher Columbus. Until then, I won't pronounce that other than arrivederci. That's horrible. And I said that with a horrible accent. Oh my gosh. I will tell you that this is extremely low. I think there's only 3 people in here. So hopefully these people like to travel. So we'll see. The first one is Just Book Girl TV. I think that's your channel name. I don't think I've seen you do a tag in a while, but you're certainly tagged in this one. The next one is going to be Elle Thinks. She's a fairly new channel. I think she has under 100 subscribers right now. So if you want to go check out her channel, but I'd love to see Elle do this. And then the last one, I remember who this is, and it's such a tiny one. It is Summer from Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. You are tagged in this, Summer, so I hope you do this one. And with that, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And now I am empty here, which means I will be refilling this for the next one. That's exciting. And until next time, everyone, hope you're having a wonderful week. And yeah, anyway, have a good one. Bye.